I think maybe I like to ask before we start the class, because we stopped the class for a few days, a few weeks, right? So I don't think that not that I don't think, I think it's very hard for people to remember sometimes what we are talking before. Maybe the best I ask you, so far what do you learn from the Abhidharmavatara? Or why do you think that it's important to learn Abhidharma? Particularly if it relates to this text, why do you think it's important? Or you don't think it's important, but you just come for the class? Hello, I'd like to hear your opinions. Or what do you expect to learn even?
Expect to learn what the Buddha teach.
What the Buddha teaching? Well, in the earlier time, according to this Abhidharma, they try to defend whatever talk in the Abhidharma is taught by the Buddha. So it looks like even during that time, during the time when the Abhidharma were flourished, in India, or best to say like in the place that Buddhism is widespread, they kind of like recognize that actually some people would not consider Abhidharma as the teaching directly from the mouth of the Buddha, basically. So, the path of. You mean the Buddha guides the path? Okay. So you mean that the reason why you think that you will come for the Abhidharma class because you believe that the Abhidharma presented at least the path from the Buddha, okay, or made the path that prescribed or designated by the Buddha. Okay, all right. Any other reason why you think you want to learn Abhidharma or this text?
Yeah. I'm thinking more like Buddhist psychology. I think that's probably more advanced, and then modern science or like research has its limitation. The psychology basically you study your mind, and all modern science has used some sort of scientific instrument to do research, to do experiment. But no instrument can really get into your brain, inside your brain or stuff. So I guess maybe the meditation approach is still the most powerful approach to study one's own mind.
Okay.
From that point of view, the Buddhist psychology might be more advanced than anything else.
That's true. People are reading it actually. Some scientists are reading actually Abhidharma. Neuroscientists and psychologists.
Okay, that's a good reason. Yeah.
I like to study the Abhidharma just to improve the practice and see the. What so far has helped me with Abhidharma is that once I started reading the Abhidharma, I read the suttas, and the suttas is so much easier now. Because you reach something so complex, and then your mind becomes so boggled, then you read the suttas, and you go, this is a lot behind it, of course. There's a lot of, the Buddha called it depthless, right? There's no end to the learning, but I realized also the layers of complexity and simplicity. So there's so many ways you can learn the teachings, depending on the level where you're at. So I think that by studying Abhidharma, I really like to kind of learn about how to how to improve the practice and enjoy the practice, and looking at a different perspective from the suttas, and I think it's a very interesting way to approach the Dhamma. Especially when you say there's about 123 mind states, and most of it is about pleasant states. Is that true?
They're mostly a pleasant state.
Yeah, so I realized how important it is to have, which before with Zen, I never understood about metta and joy in the practice, and how important that is for the brain, the mind, to create this inner joy, and it's skillful, right? Non-clinging kind of joy, happiness, and loving kindness, so that you could deal with the difficulties of practice in life. So I find it's been very interesting actually.
All right, good, yeah.
And also that's the unknown factor between life and depth, which we try to, all those unhappiness or happiness that get involved our daily activity. We try to put ourselves into more clearly understanding our surroundings.
You mean through Abhidharma understanding, so you get, you maybe can apply the teachings into your surrounding?
Well, I guess can find some kind of definition. Certainty.
Okay, have look for the definition. Yeah. What about the women here? It's only men talk. So this is America. If it only allow the men talk, later we protest. Especially I'm the teacher who is a male too. It's no fair, no equal, no equal right for women. No, the women have no. Yes, yeah.
I was actually being introduced to this class because I practice meditation. Somebody told me to come in to get a deeper understanding how I'm experiencing the meditation. But since I've been coming to this class, I noticed that study the Abhidharma Sutta can help me kind of understanding my experience in my daily life and not just meditation-wise. So it's almost like a philosophy into it.
Can you give me one example? We are just almost like doing an examination. Actually, don't worry. I think the end of the class you will have examination. So because I think the best maybe to give you a certificate that you have
We tried.
you have done the class. But I can give you one answer, one question already. That certainly there's one question will ask you why you will study this Abhidharma and what the benefit you get or whatever. Or maybe you don't get benefit, so please explain why you hate these things. This is how we usually learn, We don't always actually ask you to say yes and no. But we don't ask you only just to say yes or just to say no. You can say yes or can say no, but you have to explain why it's yes, why it's no, right? Yeah. Okay, that's good. Any one more? So now I give you now you do remember that when the end of the class with examination, you can expect what kind of question will be there. Even you fail, we still give you a certificate, I guess.
Just trying, right?
But just by count for your attendance, and that's yeah. Any other, yeah.
For me, it's actually very simple because I learned Buddhism in really short time. So the first book, The Foundation of Buddhism, actually, the section regarding the Abhidharma really kind of caught my eye. So I'm really interested in the way. I don't really remember exactly. It's just something about the mind, the status of mind, different type of factors regarding or related to the mind. So that brings a lot of interest to me. And also that's the reason that's why I joined the last retreat for Bhikkhu Bodhi for the other one. I did really enjoy the class.
Any other? If no, we can continue the class. So the women still have lots of rights. Yes.
I think it's a rare opportunity to study like a step-by-step with a teacher for Abhidharmavatara. There are other entrance courses to Abhidharma. So this is unique, even though I think I'm not ready at all. This is, I maybe in 10 years something, but just participate. And I think I did learn a lot. And then just like I haven't realized yet, but after this, I can maybe think something I would never.
You can be?
I can think some next step I would never at all. For example, Abhidharma the 7.
Abhidharma text, yeah.
Or even, how the mind and then 心为心所. In fact, sometimes I just analyze way, but in daily life I started to think that way. To react faster things, but I'm not there yet, but I'm just thinking at this time. I think I learned a lot. Concept-wise.
Yeah, okay, sure. Certainly, yeah. Okay. Okay, one more questions before we start the class. What do you find the difficult part to learn this Abhidharma?
There's
So
so
far.
much to, you need a lot of working memory, I think.
So much to remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like learning a new language. So
Oh.
you really have to learn the Abhidharma language.
Oh.
So there's a lot you have to remember to be able to put it kind of together in a way. But it's like, how am I going to remember Buddha's mind state, the 22 mind states? I mean, I know a lot of it, but the kind of things like list and so it's kind of, I guess, through a lot of repetition and working with the material, I guess we get more familiar with it.
Well, actually, that's good to point that out because that's how I try, and I didn't say that. I also didn't. Not only you, because actually the list is always changed from one text to another text, but then they definitely have what you call this the main core list there. So that's what you might be having. Somehow you knew there was a main core list. Of course, the main core list is definitely the proud is there, the ignorance is there, the hatred is there, right? And then this what we call the attachment is there, and might be something to do with the view is there, right? And but what kind of view it's included, then it will be a different. Actually, it's always it's different from text to text. But the people also, when you learn Abhidharma, like even Sarvastivada Abhidharma, even Pali, they think that the list is fixed. It's not true. Okay, if you really look at like a Pali, definitely the Pali, the lists, and also the Sarvastivada, the Abhidharma list. I mean, say in terms of the list of the defilements, even are different. But actually, even in Pali also, if you really want to restrict the list from one particular Abhidharma text in Pali, say Dhammasangani, and then the popular one mean Abhidhamma Artha Sangaha, they are different too. I remember when I was in university when we study, one of the paper always we had to learn what's the difference between these two texts, Abhidhamma Sangani and Abhidhamma Artha Sangaha, right? Abhidhamma Artha Sangaha is everybody when you learn Pali Abhidhamma, that's the menu text. But Dhammasangani is the main text of, I would say main text means the most important, or maybe, okay, say the main text of the 7 Abhidhamma text of the, So that's the paper we used to have to learn a lot. Always try to, well, for examination's sake, we have to learn by heart why they are different, this different, that different, the list different, that list different, this list different, and so. But anyway, the same thing actually in Sarvastivada, also Abhidhamma. If you really look at, that's why people do research. If you look at the list, because mostly now when we learn Abhidhamma, in Sarvastivada Abhidhamma, it's mostly based on the Abhidhamma Kosa, Jisharun, okay? Based on the Jisharun. So actually the lists are from the Abhidhamma Kosa. But as I say, but if you look at like the earlier 7 Abhidhamma texts or even some other Abhidhamma texts, it's not necessarily give the same list, So that's the reason why we don't really teach you have to fix to know the list, but you certainly know why the lists are there and why they have to put the list in such a way, That's so don't worry about the memory of the really, But that's in nowadays, the same thing like I remember when I studied mathematics in our age, you can never have a calculator in the class, right? I remember when I was in the last year, the 3rd year, so we are allowed to have a calculator for examination. And I was really surprised by that. But now, of course, it's very common now. For mathematics class, you can have a calculator. But however, we have a restriction. Even we have a calculator, we cannot have the calculator that include cosine, sine, on those, I don't know, those buttons. Because, you have to look at the logbook, right? You look for the cosine and sines. But now you're allowed to have that. So, and if you don't have those calculator, you use the logbook. It's very unfair, but anyway, that's how. But the question is only, unfair because you have the calculator if you're rich, and in our town in those days, it's very hard to get those calculator. But we are so envy when my classmates have the calculator. We have to look at the logbook and check this and that. They will just press one button.
Maybe we can have an Abhidharma app. Organize it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the apps.
We're the computer programmers here.
Yeah. By the way, actually, I mean, why I'm also asking this question is also I received a letter yesterday from one of my friends who teach in the university in Washington, and he asked me, "Did you finish your book already?" Because I was supposed to write a manual of the living Abhidharma. That means the Saravastivadvi Abhidharma, for kind of like for people easy to access to the system. So, but then, I didn't finish it, certainly. I said, oh, you have to wait until I finish the class. So then your opinion does count, because when your opinions, so what's the difficult part and what is the easier part and why you want to learn the Abhidharma, that will help me, how I should arrange the book, become more accessible to people, that's one thing. If I don't do so, I will have less motivation because of that. But definitely, I also have much more load on my shoulders because of wanted to write a book. Okay, all right. Yes.
And also, I consider myself a late learner, so I don't know if my ability is up to par with the rest of the class. Sometimes I find it's kind of very difficult to understand the main concept, or maybe you talk too fast or somehow just, I don't know if just questioning myself. Am I up to that level or no?
I agree with you also, actually, because today I just talked to Sagarananda also, because today actually when I arrived, we still had to talk about this 98 proclivity, 98个水面. So because I have to talk about 98 proclivities, and I told them actually because this is actually in Abhidharma Kosa, it's one of the chapter, right? I think it's chapter 5. I think so, but it's actually considered to be one of the difficult chapters. And then because chapter 4 is karma, remember. Even one of my friends, my monk brother friend, he also actually just last year 2 years ago. And I remember I was in Hong Kong, and his PhD thesis is writing about this 98 basically about this anusaya, the proclivities. So to do a PhD. And I also look at his book list also. When he did his PhD, he didn't have much reference book to really, very few secondary sources to read. But she only had to rely on the original sources to write her thesis. And I remember even back to 15 years ago, maybe even almost 20 years ago. Yeah, almost 20 years ago. When I studied this Abhidharma in those days, and it was very hard for me too. But I'm not sure whether my way of thinking is correct, but I still struggle something, of course, because I don't, it's very complicated. If you look at the more they are, the more complicated they are. But at least you have someone, give you the main point to look at, I guess, like you study geography. It depends how you talk about the geography or the Earth, the globe, right? But at least you will learn some main point about the like a few continental, and among the few continental, what are the main thing in the few continental, or what kind of thing they have it there, and then you have maybe a bigger, or I would say the universal or bigger pictures, Don't worry about that you don't understand the thing, because when we learn things, we always have something we don't understand. So if you understand totally, you will feel boring already, definitely, very bored, So at least that's how I think, okay. All right, any comment? Maybe it's all right, we can start the class. If you have any comment, we can talk that a little bit later. I hope that today we can finish the 98 the proclivities. Okay. Now, maybe back just to refresh your memory. according to this, the text written by the Skandila, the text name is called Abhidharmavatara. Okay, of course, presumably this text originally written in Sanskrit, and then also just for a little short introductory, who is Skandila? Of course, is one of the Greek master during the time when Vasubandhu and Sanghabhadra both are very famous Sarasvativada scholar. When they were studying, Skandila, or you could say Bhadanta Skandila, was a teacher of Vasubandhu and Sanghabhadra, right? So these texts were written by Skandila, and then that's a kind of a little bit too short, but sometimes it's a good textbook once you learn Abhidharma to revise actually what you were learning, because the main point about the main tenets or main teachings about the Sarasvativada is mentioned here. Okay. Right, and then we come to this because okay, let me revise that again. In this text, actually, how it divided the chapters, based on what they divide the chapters. This might be the examination question too. Based on what the chapters are divided. Or maybe put it this way, normally we understand in the Sarasvativada system, when you study the Abhidharma, what is the normal system in Sarasvativada Abhidharma? Anyone can answer that?
To divide it between kusala and akusala? You mean
No.
categories?
Yeah, how they divide the category. We can look at the content here, right? The content here, when you look at the page I, right? You look at the content like part 2, like you have the English translation, right? And then you have this, the first one, the category of matter, the second, the category of sensation, the third, the category of ideation, the fourth is the category of conditionings, and then the fifth is the category of consciousness. So that's then if you look at the list, then you know how actually Skandila, how he divided this category, how he divided the category to lay out the whole Abhidharma system. What is the outline? Yeah, they use a 5 aggregates to outline, basically as an outline to the whole Abhidharma system. But normally, when you develop, like if you study in China or even in Tibetan tradition, because they also have to study this Abhidharma too. So if you study the Sarasvativada Abhidharma in general, what system they use rather than the 5 aggregates? Anyone? I do give you the draft and that in the past already. No worry, don't have to check it. Just use your brain now. Any idea? So what system they used? Huh? Sorry? No, not Pali. The Pali have a different, similar to the Pali system. When I say similar, I mean that's how the same thing. When you learn the Pali Abhidharma, the Pali Abhidharma also interesting. Like Abhidharma Adasanga, for example, they use what system to outline the whole Abhidharma? No. Well, of course we ought to talk about 5 aggregates, but they don't lay out from 5 aggregates, no. Like Abhidharma Sangaha.
On page 6,
Page 6, okay, you filed the page already? Good. Let me see, what it is, page 6. Okay, that what does it call? Panjavastu, right? Remember? Panjavastu? Okay, that means even if you learn Pali, the same thing, the Pali, the different of Pali is not Panjavastu, but the Pali, if you want to divide it, it will be called Chatuvastu. Chatuvastu, that's 4. But because Pali have 1, they don't have it. But generally when you learn Abhidharma, the system you will learn, the mind, right? The mind association or mind concomitant. right？ 就是心跟心所。And then anything? Matter, rupa, okay. One more. Nibbana, yeah. Or what we call asanskrita, unconditioning. Right. 就是心所色跟无为法。So that's how when you learn Abhidhamma, that's how they generally have how they categorize it or how they outline it, right? So, but what about Sarvastivada? One more, because this is, in Pali is the same, 4, but in the Sarvastivada, one more there. What are these? Yeah, Chitta Viprayutta Samskara, right? So the dissociation of the mind. Okay, so anyway, you know the dissociation of the mind. So, but this is of course because the dissociation of the mind doesn't. In Pali system, there's no such a thing anyway, and of course they disagree with this as well. Now that's even that's a big debate, but it's not what we concern here right now so far. So that's how the system. But I don't mean that this system. If you really look at this Abhidhamma. If you learn the Sarvastiva Abhidhamma, like if you read the Fazurun Yanabastana, or in Sanskrit called Yanabastana, or if you look Fa'injulun, Dharma Skanda. So, and if you look at those Abhidhamma, sometimes the list of the dissociation of the mind, or this kind of list is not there too. So this is why if for scholarly study, if you find out this kind of list being mentioned, but you know it kind of should be a little bit later than the most earlier Abhidhamma period, okay? Okay, you understand it now? But anyway, this is how we generally understand. We have to still, even though we are not a scholar here at the moment, talk about scholar, they argue about that, debate that, writing a thesis paper, but at least we must understand, generally, when you talk about Abhidhamma, that's how the system they used. But this text doesn't use this system, okay? The text use the 5 aggregates as the layout for the Dhamma, okay? Understand? That's the first thing. So yeah, like the chart on the page 6 make it clearly. So if you want to have to be compare with these 5 called Panjavastu, so in Chinese called Wu Shi, but even though this doesn't mean anything, but those these kind of 5 what we call, you can say 5 outlines. The 5 outlines actually they can you can see how they correspond together to each other. I think I also give you the chart in the past. Okay, so that's what we have to learn first. Now, if the people ask you why you want to learn this Skandila's Abhidhamma, why? You must have a good reason for them, right? But why don't you read Abhidhamma Kosa? Why don't you read Abhidhamma Kosa Juselun? Why don't you learn that? But why you want to learn Skandila Abhidhammavatara? Why? You can say, oh, because the teacher chose it. I have no choice.
That's my first response.
Yeah, that's also one. But can you give a more erudite or more scholarly or more, not because the teacher chose it and then you can start to blame.
Better organized because they're using as a form.
Yeah, maybe you don't have to say it's better, but you can say, well, the text at least, the text arranged actually with the 5 aggregates because we are interested in meditation. And when you talk about meditation, you always start with like a Vipassana meditation, the insight meditation, always start with the 5 aggregates, right? So, and then you don't have to shift your mind to think too much. I'm joking. So that's one of the reasons you can give. Any other reasons? Any other reasons? No, actually it's less elaborated. It's more concise. That's the second reason. Relatively, you don't have to be really learn the argument, debate before you really know what the whole picture of it. So that is actually is more succinct, more concise. That's the second reason. Remember, those will be the question of but of course you can add some other reason or you don't agree, that's fine. But I just want to give you some idea. So you got to learn how to think. And what are the reasons?
It's the way it was presented by Buddha himself.
No.
Isn't in the sutra is always like 5 aggregate when Buddha teaches?
Oh yeah, you can say that is because mostly the Buddha presented in 5 aggregates. So this text presented, itself with the 5 aggregates is more appropriate or maybe more correspondent to the Buddha's teachings anyway. Whatever you like to say, yeah, that's good. But actually, I like to say you don't forget to mention one thing, which is people hardly know, because the book is written by the teacher of the Sanghabhatara and Vasubandhu.
Right. The students are more famous than the teachers, right?
Huh?
The students are more famous than the teacher.
Well, but because actually, unfortunately, even in Chinese, or even in Tibetan, they didn't know he was his teacher.
Right.
So, but they know it. They went there. They went to Kashmir. They studied under the name of this person. Anyway, here when you look at this book, they did say that how later on they know actually this is a person. They didn't know, but the text was translated by Xian Zhuan too. But anyway, if you only read Chinese, it's very hard, especially without the punctuation. Okay, right. Those are the few questions we know. Right. Then we have the idea already. So now we come to which chapter now? In other words, we come to which aggregate now? I don't need you read me the chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. But of course, maybe you can read that because it's the same way. But I mean, we come to which aggregate now? We have done the aggregate of the matter, right? And we also have done the aggregates of, yeah. We have done the aggregate of the feelings, yeah. And then we have done the aggregates of the perception. And now what we're doing? Hello? Yeah, the samskara, or in English, the formation, conditioning, sometimes here translate, but I like to translate as a formation. But now we are doing this, the category of the formation, 就是in Chinese 就是行运嘛. So we have done the 色蕴, 受蕴, 想蕴, and then now we are doing the formation now.
But we've done it many times, right?
Huh?
We did it many times already. We started with 42.
Many times.
Those things, that's formation, right?
Yeah, conditioning is mean formation, just different translation. No, but I need to remind you also because we haven't done it, and then you don't know what we're talking. So actually, the content what we're talking, it's all about the formation now already. So
I actually feel like why the contents-wise there's so much difference. Like the other part is very small. Right? You can say read it.
because the condition is,
like
you mean the condition one?
the whole formation, right?
Yeah, the whole formation is a big.
Information, right?
No, in Buddhism, the formation is a big deal. It's really because your karma is in formation, your defilement is formation, your panya, your knowledge or your wisdom is in formation. Of course, it's a big deal.
Yeah, but in the other school, I think at least for the path to the purification, right? They like feeling or perception. They give you like more detail, But until you go to formation.
No, I don't think so. I mean, actually, the path of purification do not lay out the way as the 5 aggregates. No.
Like the 89 mind, that's it.
Yeah, the 89 mind is the chapter. If you want to lay out, say that you want to change the power of purification,
Right.
you want to lay out the way that as 5 aggregates to talk about it.
Yeah.
So the 89 types of minds are belong to the consciousness. No, the mind.
Yeah.
No.
That's the irony.
No, that's certainly if you do the comparative study, that's the big differences between the pi system and the non-Pali system, maybe put it this way. Because in the Pali system, when you talk about the consciousness, so-called the vijnana, so you have, in Pali, you divide it into 89 types of vijnana, okay. But in the non-Pali system, only one. But you can say in the one, but that one can be divided into 6, right? Like the eyes vijnana, the nose vijnana, the ears and so on, and the mind vijnana. But then then later on in the Mahayana, say the Asanga, or not only Asanga, but Asanga as the prominent one, who then expanded the vijnana into 8 vijnana. This is the, people know that, especially Chinese, 八识, right? So then you need add 2 more, called Mana vijnana and then Alayana vijnana. So that's why they have 8 vijnana. That's the, if you want to put on the 5 aggregate scheme, then that would be the 8 vijnana. But in Pali, there are 89 type of vijnana. But in that way, learning the Pali is more complicated, okay? But then for the defilement's sake, actually, that's why you will find we spend a lot of time to talk about defilements. For the defilement's sake, actually, Sarvastivada has much more complicated system, okay? For them, it's very clear. They have to make sure when you practice up to what and how and why, you're able to cut off this kind of defilements, but not the otherwise, but only this way. So sometimes they have that impression about the Sarvastivada, if there's examination about comparative between the Pali and then the Sarvastivada. The Sarvastivada always emphasizes on what is able to be cut off, what is not able to cut off. Okay, so bahana, the word cut off, it's a big deal. Why I want to mention this, because even when I do my research, you find the list in the Anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing, and then the list of the mindfulness of breathing from the Chinese, when I say Chinese, mean the Sarvastivada system, and you look at the Pali system, they are no much different, but the only one different is this list. Because in the Sarvastivada, the list here, they didn't use the word mean to push, to abandon it. Okay, they use a different word. They use a word mean they cut it off. Okay, that's the only least difference between, even among the, you know, when you practice the mindfulness of breathing, accordingly you have the 16 steps to go through. But you think they're identical. They're identical, but they are not exactly the same. Pali and then also Sarvastivada. There's one list. So for me, it's very clear. When you look at the list, you find one thing is different. You know this is not Pali. Or when you look at the list, it's exactly the same. You know they might be very similar to Pali. For example, you know, among the Chinese texts, this list, one Chinese text is very similar to Pali. Anyone can guess? Actually, I did say that in the past. If anyone can guess, I will buy you a chocolate.
Oh, what the difference is? What
there's one list.
There's
but
one list that talks about the mindfulness of the body first, and then the breathing.
No. That actually that's related to the contemplation of the Dharma. So there's one list is different.
Oh yeah.
I mean, mostly people don't know. Pali list and then actually the Sarvastivada list, even the practice of mindfulness of breathing. Yeah. But
that's a different list in Chinese?
Yeah, the Sarvastivada had a different list.
Oh, really?
The last two is different list.
The last two, you mean the cessation, Nirodha,
and the abandoning.
Relinquishing.
And they don't have the Patinisaga. Yeah.
What do they have instead?
I think no, it just basically mean attainment. So they cut off, then they get attainment, because Patinisaga also can be mean that you review what you have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not just relinquishing.
Relinquishing also. But I need actually that's not the main one. The main one is that you have this nibbeda, but they use bahana. And they use a cutoff. Yeah, yeah. That because they always emphasize on what you can cut off, what you have cut off, what you have cut off on that time. Yeah, but you know, look at even the party system. They don't talk. That time you cut when you attend this stage, you cut off what define when you know that stage, you cut off what that define. They don't talk that much. They only talk when you reach in the first Sotapanna. Then of course what kind of thing will not be there, right? That's a little different emphasis. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so,
what was the answer?
Yeah, what is the text in Chinese? That's why we have one text translated into Chinese, but people don't know that. We still don't know what school it belongs to. I don't want to talk that school. If they're from Sri Lanka, of course, then there's no question because from Sri Lanka system. But it was not from Sri Lanka, but it was translated in the Chinese. But the list, if you compare all the lists, you find this only exists in the extension only in Chinese, but they are very similar to Pali. Anyone know which text?
Does this have something to do with the level of emptiness?
No.
Is it one of the Agama?
I told you already that the list is about the same thing. It emphasizes on the abandoning, but the other Pali system emphasis on the removing. But you might be finding this the same meaning. No, it's not same meaning. It's different.
Agama or something?
No, not Agama. It's Abhidharma text. I mean, which Abhidharma text? Huh?
The one, the Chinese version is earlier.
The second century.
Yeah, earlier than the.
No, that was not second. I think they were translated maybe 5th century or something like that.
But it was written.
It's written before.
No, of course written before, but I want to say that that's only the extension is only in Chinese.
Before the path of purification.
I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah. No. You were talking about the one written before the path of purification is called Vimutti Magga. 就是解脱道论. But that one, it's quite sure already now. That was actually Fa Xian. He went to Sri Lanka and took that text from not from the Mahasangika Nikaya, another school in the men's Mahavihara, but from Abhayagiri, from Wei Shanshi anyway, from another school in Sri Lanka, then to China. Now I'm not talking about Vimutti Magga. It's true, Vimutti Magga, because translation is so bad, so it's very hard to do it. But I mean, it's true, it's the same as Sri Lanka system. But another text, Sri Lankan people don't know it. No, definitely they don't know. Even Chinese people don't know. Of course, how they know? You know, no. The Sarifu Abhidharma. I did mention that Sariputta Abhidharma. There's a text called Sariputta Abhidharma. The interesting is that in the text, they have a lot of the lists very similar to the Pali system. Okay, nobody do that study too. Yeah, we have in Chinese Abhidharma text called Sariputta Abhidharma. That's the only Abhidharma text. They have the similar list, exactly the same list of the Anapanasati and other thing to the Pali. But that text is called Sariputta Abhidharma. Yeah.
What language is that written in?
Chinese. I don't know original. No, of course we don't have original language now, but only now in Chinese. Yeah. So I remember when I was in England, actually, lots of professors were so keen to read that because mostly, the scholar in England they are much familiar with the Pali system also. And okay, now back to this. Now we are talk to this formation now, right? So in the formation, in the Sarasvati, when you describe about the formation, there are two types of formation, right? Has to be understand. Okay, what it is? What are they? I think if you look at the content, it's there. No. Why you always like this term, Kusala and Kusala?
Yeah,
it become almost like your mantra now. You always say Kusala.
We have this one.
You should compose a song for that.
Because this one is the unskillful ones, right, for proclivities.
The volition, the other one is contact.
Conjoined and disjoined.
Yeah, conjoined and disjoined. And in other words, one is conjoined with the mind, one is disjoined from the mind. Okay, we haven't come to the one that disjoined from the mind, but it's a very important topic in Sarasvati. But conjoined with the mind, that's what we are. So now we are still in the page of the conjoined with the mind. Okay.
Conjoined. This list is from conjoined.
Yeah. So as a gist or in general, when you look at the list of these texts with the conjoined with the mind, how many Dhamma are listed here?
42, 41.
Good, 41. Okay. But of course, you know it's not limited to 41. But I mean, listed here as a name, 41. Look at the last one. What is the list, the last one? Conjoined. Don't worry, yeah, it's no examination this way. The last one is what? I give you the shanti, the receptivity, here to translate, or patience, you can translate patience, but receptivity. Because patience sometimes, I know that sometimes why we don't like to translate patience, because patience represent you don't like it, but you just have to do it, that's called patience. Kind of like, there's an annotation for that. But receptivity is kind of like, they have no choice, that's it. And you just do it, you know. Kind of like, receptivity is more like natural way, you know. Put it this way. Anyway, so then if you look at the list, the number 41 is the receptivity, and the list of the 40 is the knowledge. Then you also, then of course from these two, and the list of 39 would be the nivarana, that means the 5 hindrances, right? That's very popular for people who study meditation, you should definitely know it. So then you know that the last two lists is about, is joy with, is a formation Dhamma, joy, you could say, or joy with the mind, right? But then this list is about the knowledge and about a kind of, you could say a kind of power you have. We are going to talk that because it's a complicated subject in a way also. So then you know that formation included not only just about the defilements, it's also included the knowledge, and also included a kind of the power or the base. Once you have developed, it will be sustain and stay with you, and also included about the topic of, like you say, kusala and akusala, and then also about that's what the popular people think about the 75 Dhamma, right? So that including some Dhamma are universal, some are individual arises, and all this kind of Dhamma, like the faith, the work, the what they call the modesty, the shame, the heedfulness, and so on, right? And the concentration and so on. So then, in other words, mean it includes the formation included the topic of the formation. The formation. The topic of formation included the what we call like a party system, that like, you know, you must have the faith, you know, energy, attention, and so on and so. And also you have this bad kind of thing, the akusala one, like, you know, like when you have this like no shame, no wisdom, anger, and all this, right? But then interestingly, it also includes the defilements, the topic of defilements, and as well as the topic of the knowledge. Okay, like what kind of thing you do, and then you develop this kind of knowledge, and this kind of knowledge when it arises, what kind of defilement would be stopped, you know, like that, and how they are. And that's what this is one of the unique actually system, unique, very special system that Sarvastivada do. Okay.
The last one you pronounce like Shanti, is that similar to that Indian Shanti, like peace?
Shanti is peace.
It's different.
No, that's S-A-N-T-I.
Okay.
That means appeasement, 寂静. But this Shanti means Shanti Paramita. The same word means the patient Paramita, perfection. Okay. The other word is only S, but with the slash there. Shanti. Shanti Paramita, patience, the same word, exactly the same word. Yeah. Okay. So we have talked about what's the differences between because since we come to the defilements part already, right, about 煩惱, all about this problem or the 烦惱, that, but we also recognize that in the Sutta Pitaka or in the Sutra or Sutta Pitaka, so you have so many names for this. Sometimes you call it as bandhana, like bondage. Sometimes you call it as the proclivity. That's what we call anusaya, 水面. Sometimes you call that as the, let me how to say the translation, like fetters, 结, right? Samyojana. Sometimes you also, you also call it as the defilements. So, are they different? If they are different, how? Are they the same? If they're the same, why? Then you have so many different names. Okay? This is what the Sarvastivada are interested. Okay, now, are you interested about that? I don't know whether you're interested or not, but I'm interested. I always, when I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, I always ask this question. Why? What's the difference between pariyuktana? I mean, let me see the translation in English. Sometimes I need to look at it also. The environments. Why these environments? You have the hatred environments, and then you also have the hatred factors. That means the you know, and then you also have the hatred anusaya. What's the difference? Why they have used different names, right? That's the reason why I think the Skandila actually here, I mean, as a kind of concise text, give a very simple and easy way to understand that already, right? All right, then before we go back to this topic, still I want to ask one more question. The question is that we know that we are coming to learn, we have to still have to finish by proclivity, you know, proclivity, right? Very difficult to pronounce this word. I need to look at the dictionary before. Proclivity. You know what I'm talking, right? Yep. So, right. The proclivity, what does proclivity means?
It's not good, yes.
Okay, it's not good thing, and what else?
You are unaware of?
No, why is called proclivity? Why? Why not fetters? I mean, why is anusaya in Sanskrit? Why not bandhana? Why they don't call that as a samyojana, but you call that as the anusaya? Why?
Is it removable by something and defined as span over multiplied? I read it somewhere.
Okay, yeah, you do read somewhere, but it's okay. But you do, I mean, I prefer the last one. Of course, all defilements should be removable. If not, there's no way you get enlightenment, okay? And, but it's okay, you can define that, you know, but you have to mention that that should be removable. But you know, why is called proclivity?
They don't have a clear cut from one state to
No.
Because it's conjoined.
It's a very rough idea, but I mean, I could say yes and no. No one know? Subodha? Why is called anusaya?
What does it say in Chinese? You can read Chinese character. What does it say in Chinese? Explain the Chinese.
You cannot detect it. Hard to detect it.
Hard to detect?
Yeah, hard to detect is one reason. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course, as you look at the term anusaya, it's some people write article about that too.
Oh, really?
But I'm not going to say it long because it's. But I want to only back to the book first. You know, next time if we have time, we can talk more. So, what is anusaya? In the books, at least, try to define it.
So something we are born inherently, we have it. It's something that
It's certainly, otherwise you will not be here. According. What is anusaya?
Stick together with the, it's based on the Chinese. It's like you sleep, they accompany with you together.
It's related to ignorance. Yeah. Because you don't know.
Ignorance is just only one of the anusaya, one of the proclivity. It's just only one. So definitely you cannot give the answer like that because ignorance. So, and then if you talk in that way, you're kind of like you're describing about the dependent arising now.
Yeah.
Yeah, dependent coordination or co-arising mean the partitular samubhada. No, we are asking the question why it is called anusaya, why it is called procreativity. Huh?
So nusaya, is there such a word as nusaya?
It's like a
Anusaya.
But is there a word as nusaya?
Anusaya. Yeah.
But there's nusaya and anusaya.
Yeah. Saya means what? Anyone? Saya? Yeah. Saya means sleep. Anu?
Oh, so it's dormant. So it's dormant.
You
It's
could-
there. Sleeping.
Yeah. You can. Yeah. Some people translate as a dormant too.
Dormant. It's sleeping.
Yeah.
It's there, but it's sleeping. Then it comes out or something.
Yeah. But
Really is there.
But the problem is that's good thing. The problem is actually in Saravastivada not necessarily has to understand as a kind of something that sleep.
It's latent.
Dormant. Yeah, it's latent.
Ah, okay. So is that what it means?
But look at the what this text defining. Okay. So this is how you start to do research. Maybe next time you find this term in other texts like a
It's on the
sutra.
internet.
No, internet do not have this all this. Page 93. Then page 92. We usually I read it this way: 4.52910, right? 4.5.29.10.
Difficult to retain.
Ready? The term procavity, in the sense of minuteness, as it is difficult to detect their rising. That's why called anusaya. The second, in the sense of binding along with, because anuband, as they proceed together with the psychophysical series, samtana, like the image of the bird moving in the sky, being followed by a fish moving in the water. Okay, jara jara. Okay, so that's the second. And the third one, in the sense of adhering with, anusanj, as they are like the oil in the sesame seed or the grease in the morsel of the food. In other words, it's very hard to detect it, to separate it. Number 4, in the sense of developing in accordance with anusi, okay, as they develop concordantly with regard to the 5 aggregates of grasping. When they take objects and when they are conjoined, developing in concordant with means growing by ways of taking object and of being conjoined with the thought concomitant. Anyway, so in other words, they always combine with your mind and your mind concomitant. Okay, and it's also very hard to detect.
sounds like a comma.
Huh?
Sounds like a comma to me.
A comma?
You did something you don't know, it's something really not good. But,
No, karma is not like that. Karma means action.
yeah, you did something, but some comma is following. You don't know. It stick with you.
No. Karma following mean no. That's a problem with Chinese. Forget about that. No, I need to correct your statement. This is a very wrong representation presenting Buddhism. Okay.
Let's get it right.
Let's get it right now. Otherwise, you said, I still don't know the karma. Study Buddhism. What is karma? Action. Karma, say that this is karma, okay? Can you stop the karma? No. Because as far as your mind is functioning, your body is functioning, your mouth is functioning, the karma goes on. So simply understand Chinese karma, is action. But
actually it's follow you, right? That
no, it doesn't follow you. You create it. No. I mean, the word you follow it is some problematic there. You create it. If there's no action, say that. But it also can be a karma. Like if you do meditation, and then you can be able to, in meditation, up to the stage you can stop your mind, right? So, of course, there's a debate. Can you say that it's karma or not? But anyway, in Buddhist general, still is a karma. Let's say, if you have the action, but then you stop the action. Say you are in meditation, you can stop everything, even your mind. right? Like the highest jhana, or even you can stop your thinking, perception, like asamija jhana. So let's say you are like this, but this is still action according to Buddhism. You cannot say follow it. What is karma? Actually, it's very simple. Karma means action only. The thing is, when we talk karma, then we have some topic to do with that. What is the topic? If I'm here, okay, I had to think about why I will be here. I will be here is because I was here. Okay, say this is A, and this is where you are now, present time. So let's say the right moment is present time. You are still creating the karma, but then while you are here, without this, you would not be here. Okay, that's why you could say you didn't create it by A actually. No, because karma is the action that non-stop going on. Okay, you get it now? So defilement is not karma. Okay, defilement, but you say defilement has to do with karma, fine. Okay, but defilement definitely is not karma, because let's say that defilement, we say about this ignorance. Okay, this in the present here you have the ignorance. Say the defilement. Say you are ignorance, delusion. Okay, because you have this delusion. Okay, if your action is always with this delusion with you, then you will always like this anusaya. So like a fish here. And then your mind, okay? Your mind, in other words, mean your karma or your action. This is why they say that. Like this is the defilement, the fish go in. And then you're flying the mind, chasing after with the fish. Okay. Get it now?
Okay, so
but you cannot say that defilement is karma. No.
No,
your mind is karma.
Right, okay, so yeah, back to the volition, right? The definition of volition is that you render your thought, commandment, right? It's beneficial or non-beneficial or whatever. So from that perspective, right? So it's something. It's saying you have a thought, but it will generate some beneficial to you, or non-beneficial, or neutral, right? That's volition.
No, I think you get a little like this. The volition is that, let's say I'm here,
right.
I see the fish, right, and I thought this is real, right.
Okay.
So and then your mind initially look at this, you want to get this fish, right. So that's why since then you are just follow it like this. But you can say like this, defilements or anusaya, since we're talking this proclivity, you could say that from the very long past, this is going on, okay? And then your action always goes with it. Because of course your delusion, and you don't know, you have to abandon of this one, okay? So that's why this is included, this topic, this one, the so-called defilements, all this, are in the formation because it has to go with the mind, right? But you cannot say that defilement is karma. This is what I want to say very clear. It's not. Your mind is karma, okay? And there's a very little detail later on. So, and how able that you started to be able to cut off these defilements there. So again, and also when you talk about karma, of course, sometimes people get confused, as I say. It's because you always talk about the cause and effect, right? What you've done, you'll be conducive to your future. And what the future done, the past thing will affect you now. Of course, because there's a series going on. It does affect you, right? Right? Okay. And now, let's say now if you change your mind or understanding a thing, and you change your future, right? So, and then how the past you think the thing and then affect you now, right? Right? Okay. But the defilement still goes with you. That's a tricky part. And the defilement is the one that still goes with you. You have to do a certain kind of vigorous practice, and then you have to ultimately can kick it off. That's what the topic is important. And Buddhism is talk about soteriology. This maybe that means about nibbana. Okay, you say that somebody they can attain nibbana. Somebody, according to Buddhist concept, that somebody can practice and they don't reincarnate anymore, or they have only 7 lifetime of reincarnation. But you still have to explain why, how. Okay, or say that it's besides we talk about the method, we have to explain why these people they can be only have 7 life reincarnation. What's the special between him and this person and that person, right? Okay.
So you're saying that
it's because something they kicked it off already.
Always there.
Yeah.
It's present. Okay.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean it's not karma, but it's always present, and it can manifest unless we kind of cut it off.
No, the interesting is that I think because the way we understand karma means action, we don't understand karma as a determination, right? Because if you understand this defilement as a determination, you've been determined to be that, then you can say the defilement is the karma. But no, the defilement is not the karma, but the defilement is the something that always go with the mind, right?
So unless you practice and do something
to cut that off, yeah,
then it will always be present. Okay.
Mm. It always affects you. So like the bird, because the craving there. So it always will, when it saw the shadow of the fish, and it will chase after it. So,
but how come
yeah.
if they have to be, since they have to be impermanent, how come they don't just go away? How come they just don't pass away over there? It seems so stuck with us, so permanent.
Let me think about this. How come it?
Cut off, so it's impermanent.
But how come they don't just pass away?
Because it's associated with the mind. It's not a matter. And then the mind, as far as the mind, from the beginner's lust, that's what we say, 无始以来, beginner's lust, and then you have the, because of delusion is there, so you kind of like, you create it, or we don't say you create it, it's there already.
But especially since it can be considered to be passed on between different
life.
So this seems to be a permanent kind of characteristic to it.
I don't know whether there's any explanation for that. Maybe I just my own explanation. Yeah, you can say so. Like when human people think that's also one of the problem. So we have definements. We have the problem is because we look at the thing as permanence. Maybe I should say actually the characteristic is not permanence. But in order to dissolve that, and in a way that to dissolve your attachment to that. To this deep root problem. So firstly you have to learn it's impermanent. And then it will
admit that it can be done.
Huh?
You have to sort of realize or accept that it can be cut off.
No, it can be cut off according to the Buddhist system.
You have to be willing to believe it. And then maybe you'll see that it can be impermanent. But it's not permanently fixed.
Yeah, I think that's actually this is why I say it's a good question, because then that's only raise the question is that might be how Buddhism can relate to the word of the doubt, whether the doubt. So in one of the first thing you need to cut off that the doubt to the Sangha, the Dhamma, the triple gems and the virtue. So and then whether the doubt it's related to that you have to believe that you can cut off this or what? I think so.
As long as we think this is me, this is mine, it's impossible to get rid of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. According to the Buddhist idealism, no. No way.
Because it is latent, though, how do we know that what it's, it's different? It's difficult for us to discern whether it's permanent.
Well, anyway, we are going to talk that also. So according to how the system think that this what you call the proclivity can be cut off. Okay, I'll leave you have 10 minutes break. Okay, and then we'll back to the class. Yeah. When you have time, look at the whole number, all the proclivities. Okay.
Bell. Thermos bell.
Okay, so now we're back to the chart now. Okay, on the chart, the first question maybe people ask why there's two charts here. One is a 48 proclivities, one is 98 proclivities. Okay, now I don't know 48. Did I say 48? 84. I just turned it down. You can see my eyes have some problem anyway. And because that's how we usually read Chinese, okay? We read from left to right, right to the left. I'm joking. So, but anyway, it's 84. Why? But it's why because actually even in the text it did mention if I just only look at the number 6, the view proclivity. If you only just take the view proclivity, but not the 5 views, then if you count it, it will be 84. Even though this is not a very common way, okay? But it did mention in the text that the view proclivity, okay? But then normally, and especially in Abhidharmakosa, and as I say, the text as well. So it seems very clear during the time of the Skandila when he read his book, this system is well established already. So then when you look at the second chart, then you count it, there's 98 proclivities here. So first look at the chart first. So the first one, on the very left one, there are 10 proclivity. Actually, Abhidharma, this Skandila said that there are only 7, right? Proclivities. But how did 7 proclivity become 10? How? Because from the view proclivity, you can expand another 5 proclivity. Okay? And another question comes. But why they have to expand it to the one view proclivity has to expand to another 5 proclivity? Why? So my understanding is because all these proclivity, of course, it's very important. It's a very important topic for people who practice up to the time to arahantship. Of course, the first thing you can talk about is that somebody able to abandon of the proclivity so that they will reach to the sotapanna, right? The stream antennas. Then everyone knows the formula. If someone who able to abandon the stream antenna, he must be able to abandon the number 9, right? The wrong grasping of rules and observance. Mm-hmm. And also, he has to abandon the number 5, identity view. And of course, and also abandon the number 10, the doubt proclivity. But there's no question about to abandon the number 10 because it's included in the 7 proclivities, right? But the number 5 and number 9 are not included in the so-called 7 proclivities. Okay? And of course, and Abhidharmakosa take a very long thing to describe why. Okay? I think that we could leave that a little moment. So let us go something further first. If you have a question, we can talk that later. So first, look at these 10. So forget about the 84 now. That is not going to use much, but at least to give you an idea. Okay? So sometimes the list can be different because of why. Okay? Now look at this number 98, that one that commonly understood by this school, Sarvastivada. Now, first, there are 10 proclivity. Let's read it first. The sensual greed proclivity, and the second one, hostility proclivity. The third one, conceit proclivity. The fourth one, ignorance. The fifth one, identity view. The sixth is wrong view. The seventh is two ends view.
What is that?
I'm going to explain it. It does in the text. And then, and number 8, grasping on the views. Number 9, wrong grasping of the rules and observance. Number 10, doubt proclivities, right? So that's are the 10 list. When you look at the 10 list, and then now look at the vertical, what is it called vertical? This is called vertical, and this is called horizontal, yes. Then look at the horizontal. You have the sense, the desire sphere, and then you have the form sphere, you have the formless sphere. In other words, what does a desire sphere mean? Generally means that you meditate before you enter in the first jhana, you are still always in the desire sphere, right? But only after when you enter the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana, that you'll be in the form sphere. Or your meditation power, when your meditation within those are the form sphere. And then also beyond these 4 jhana, and you go to arupa jhana, mean a formless jhana, like firstly the endless space, and the second endless consciousness, and so on. So that will be the formless sphere. That's one way of understanding it. The second way of understanding it, desire sphere mean the existence of desire sphere mean the people who exist there, they still have these kind of defilements, the problem, and or proclivity. But when the people in the form sphere, so a certain kind of proclivity would not arise there. So I would not be there. So that's why it's in the form sphere or the formless sphere. Okay. Okay. Now you look at that, then you understand there's a three sphere that's always talked about in the Sarvastivada school, and also it never happened in Pali. Okay. But in Sarvastivada school, and also you look at it, they have about the dukkha, the origin, the cease, the path, the cultivation. Now, what does it mean? So the dukkha, the origin, the cease, the path is a Four Noble Truths. Okay. So these Four Noble Truths, first, of course, the truth of suffering. The second, the truth of original of the suffering. The third is the truth of the cease of the original suffering. The fourth one, the truth leading to path, the path leading to the ceasing of suffering. Right? The Four Noble Truths. I don't have to mention that much. And the fifth one is cultivation. What it is mean? But then you have to understand first. By understand the Four Noble Truths means if you are practicing, if you can able to see the Four Noble Truths, say you see the truth of the suffering, or the truth of original suffering, and cease of the path, and these Four Noble Truths. So we say that you are in the path of seeing, okay, or path of will, 见道. Darasana marga. Darasana marga. Path of seeing.
Sounds like Vipassana to me.
It is Vipassana. So in Chinese, it's 见道, okay. And Darasana marga, okay. So, but if people, when they finish but we're going to talk this later, but you first understand this drop first, because it's very complicated later. Generally mean, if the path of seeing starts because you're able to see the Noble Truth, in other words, mean. But then, what is mean the path of cultivation? Okay. So there are two.
Is that bhavana? No?
Yeah, bhavana marga. Xiu Dao, okay. So in this system, when you say this belong to the bhavana path of cultivation, it refers to when you finished seeing all the Four Noble Truths, and then you become the stream enter, so on, you are in the path of cultivation. But that's not the only answer, but in general, okay? All right. I get it now. But as I say, it's not. I'm not going to give it too complicated now because we have to read this text. But there's something tiny thing they always discuss also. So that's the general way I understand. In other words, mean first just have this understanding first. When you are in practice up to this the path of seeing, it means you are still on the way to the sotapanna, the stream enterers. But when you have come to the path of cultivation, mean you are at least the stream enterers already. Okay. So that's how the general understand it. Okay. Always learn in a general way first. You know, Buddhism also agree there's exception. Okay. We don't talk exception now at the moment. So this draft actually to say that now when you understand this, it's one to say that now let's look at the essential greed proclivity. There are 15 altogether. That's why you look at the number, the last, when you're counting 15. Why? It means actually in order to abandon this sensual greed proclivity, you have to be able to meditate until you see the truth of suffering, the truth of original suffering, the truth of cease of suffering, the truth of path for the suffering, and then the truth of cultivation. In other words, mean this sensual greed proclivity can be cut off. In other words, mean in any of these, or you have to constantly have work on it. Okay. Now, okay, maybe the other, say the second one, the hostility. Maybe to compare that is easier to understand. When you look at the list of it, just only 5. Why? Because whenever you are in the jhana, or whenever you are so-called that you are on the state of the heaven, so-called the form heaven, so all this the hostility, proclivity would not be arise there. So that's why there's no necessarily, or there's no use basically that you need to cut off through any photo truth in the other highest highest sphere, we say. Okay, right? Maybe the easier to talk is this. Look at the number 5. What is the number 5? Hello, Kitty. Identity view. You know what is identity view? Remember? Okay, give me one simple definition. What is identity view?
I, my, me.
You said before it's aggregation of the 5 entities.
Yeah. Generally, it mean that you are, you are identify yourself, or basically you are attached, or you are attached to accumulation. Basically, here the accumulation means you are attached to the 5 aggregates, or your body. So, but you look at it. This is interesting. In the identity view, it's just only in the dukkha, right? Now that's what easier to talk about. And then not in the original, not in the cease, not in the path, not in the cultivation. What does it mean? Okay.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Maybe if you see that having identity view is the cause of suffering, you could cut it off.
No, actually it means that if you are from no. From the time if you are able just to be reached to see the truth for suffering, the identity view will be cut off. Here the least means is be able to cut off from here. Can be cut off. So in other words, mean if the people when they meditate, if they start to see the truth of suffering of the 5 aggregates, mean the body, say, body including your feelings, your physical matter, and your mind, your whatever. That time when you see is a dukkha, that moment, you know very well, you don't have the identity view. Okay.
I have a question regarding not this one, the hostility, the anger.
The anger, yeah.
I remember you're not gonna cut off until you reach the 3rd fruit.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's the reason why I say later they have to be explained. According to it's true, but then this thing actually according to this list also, it didn't say that Sotapanna cut off this one. Okay. Because we know that the stream enter only cut off the number 5 and number 9 and number 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But however, actually, there's still a question. If they cut off number 10, okay, but are you saying that if you cut off number 10, are you saying that the people who is after they are stream enterer, they become a stream enterer, they don't have doubt anymore?
Yeah, that's what it means.
It's true, they don't have doubt anymore. But then you
have no doubt.
Yeah, good. But but the thing it is, I have no doubt. But then, or they might have something they're going on, right? Even though maybe not a strong doubt, it should be. I mean,
it could be trace.
Yeah. Okay.
Still dormant, latent.
But it's okay. But actually, they do explain that also, Sarvastivada. They are not stupid because, you know, this question will up. We come to them.
They cover all the ground.
Yeah, they cover that. So I think maybe I will describe that later. Right? In order, just let me finish the draft first. Right? So actually here it means that when people who have a sensual greed proclivity, whenever there's a hostility proclivity, let's say, either when the time they see the truth of suffering, the truth of origin of suffering, the cease of suffering, the path, they are able to cut off this sensual greed. Okay? All right? But you cannot say, people, when they reach to, they see the truth of original, the cause of suffering, and that's the time it cut off the identity view. No. Actually, the time that, according to Sarvastivada scheme, the time that they will cut off this, able to cut off this identity view is because they see the truth of suffering. That's enough already. Okay. Get it now? I mean, for people who do meditation, they somehow can feel that. Say, usually you attach your body so much. I'm not well, and I'm not healthy, I'm getting old, and my body is not like used to be, and you worry, right? So that's kind of worry comes to you. Bad of me, nobody take care of me, and all this sort of thing. So, but if you meditate, the pain comes to you. Oh, why it is pain? Of course, they're still attached to that. But if you look at this as pain, this is it is. The time you don't attach to it, the identity will go. You don't have to wait until you see the truth of the cause of why you attach to it. You get it now? Hello, Kitty? Yeah, huh? Just imagine that, right? So, I mean, this is an important point actually. It's an important point. It's an interesting point. Now look at the other one, the wrong grasping of the rule and observance. The same thing. When the people say, you know, the best way, you know, to do practice is maybe fasting. I must fast, you know, and do this and that.
Prostration.
Say prostration or fasting. And you have to do this. You have to sit there for 10 hours. Otherwise, you cannot attain nirvana. So you force the people to attend. Look at me. I can sit for 10 hours. You can do that like this, right? So they have set a whole rule, no change. So, but actually, this kind of rule can be released by what? By the time when you really understand the suffering, right? You get it now? Even though let me tell you, I talk to people, I find that they say, why I have to fast? So suffer so much. But then I say, if you know that suffering, that causes you suffering, then look at suffering. No, suffer. I don't need to fast, but I'm suffer. But I had to fast, otherwise I'm not lean. I know I'm not healthy, right? But if I say no, but forget about that. Just look at your suffering. If it really just look at suffering, it's not issue about fasting already, right?
But also during Buddhist time, wasn't the whole Brahmanism is all about rituals and pujas and purification?
No.
So wasn't this rule to put in to kind of people
No.
away from that kind of observances?
I mean, this list is not put it there because for social context, I want to say. It's for practical context.
I thought it was for both too. It had that.
Well, definitely the practice context disagree with already the Buddha.
Because they said that was the way to, you know.
Yeah, but then there are many other ways too. Right. You know, there are so many other ways that the social context is what you just mentioned. Like people behave like a dog, behave like a cow, and all believe that God always can save them. Right? There's a tool. Those are the belief in the wrong grasping of rules and observance. Right. But the people actually they can cut off that is by the time if they only contemplate the truth of suffering. Okay, right? I mean that's how it's interesting, and then also they can only be cut off also by the truth of the path. Okay, in other words, I mean of course in order to realize the truth of the path, certainly he has to aware what is the origin of the cause of the suffering, you know, and then he able to see the cease of the suffering, and then he know the path of it, the path leading to the ceasing of suffering. So these people only they can be able to really cut off what is mean the 戒禁取见, wrong grasping of rules and observance. Okay, understand that now? So, but the other, for example, like what is made by two ends view, you say you don't understand. Two ends view mean either they hold the views of permanence or what we call the Sasadavada, things are permanent, or annihilism.
Okay.
So
Like
two ends.
Okay.
So the same thing, if the people are really, they only see the truth for suffering, these ends will dissolve their its within. In other words, meaning it will be abandoned. Okay. Now, and then, but this is just basically it's just a simple list first. Just to let you know, but if you look at the list, you will find the list is not much different between the three spheres. That means the sphere of the desire world, the sphere of form and the formless. But if there's only different, it's just only the anger. It's never happened in the form sphere and the formless sphere. That's all, right? And then most of the Four Noble Truths able actually, if somebody who see the Four Noble Truths, say the truth, we are going to talk about how they see the Four Noble Truths. That's in the next, after this definement subject, according to Sarvastivada system. But anyway, after when they see the Four Noble Truths, or while they're seeing the Four Noble Truths, mostly all the truth will help them to cut off these defilements, these proclivities. But only there were few exceptions: the identity view and the two ends view and the wrong grasping. Okay, and then also some of the things would not need to be. I mean, basically, you don't have to wait until you do the cultivation. That's why the last 6, it's not doesn't happen in the cultivation path. Okay, because as I just said already, because the cultivation path is only for the people who have attained the stream entered already, at least. If they attend the stream entered, of course, those will have gone already. Right? So in other words, I mean, someone who enter the stream enters, and then they cut off all these, the 6 of the 5 of the views, and then 1 of the doubt, right? That means 6 of the proclivities, and the remain 4 he has to settle. So that is essential greed, proclivity, hostility, conceit, and the ignorance, right? All right. Any other questions?
I have a question regarding 3 spheres or realms. So when there's X, for example, for the first one, sensual greed, proclivity, for those 3 realms, it can be present also, which means it can be cut off because they're present.
Yeah, because they're present.
They're even present in the formless sphere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you want to make it more complicated, why there were 3 small sense sphere here? Why?
Talking about jhana, right? You're in a
Yeah,
state.
that's also one explanation because you talk about jhana and.
It's for the entire conditioned realm. It's not
Okay.
just for people.
All right, that's about the so-called. It's almost more like there's a power system, mean that there's condition because there's existence there, and much to do with your answer. But one more point. Anyone? Okay, give you a hint. We talk about somebody after they become stream enterers, so they have abandoned something of the lower factors, right? 5 lower factors, but then they still have to deal with the 2 factors of the lower factors and the other 5 highest factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the highest 5 factors there, what are they included in the highest 5 factors? Their attachment to or the craving to the existence of the form and the formless, right? So because of that, so definitely this list have to be include the form and the formulas there. That's fair. Okay. Actually, there are so many questions if you are thinking about Buddhism. Look at the chart. Any other questions? Go that slowly, because after this we have to back to this list again. But so far, just know why the list is here. Yeah. And
There's no, after the formless, there's nothing beyond, or
after?
beyond this formless sphere.
No, nothing beyond that. If they are all kind of the defilements, all kind of the proclivity, of course, then Arahant. So
according to this chart, if you see the truth of suffering, it can easily become almost an ascent. You don't need to see the other three truths.
yeah, not that you don't. Because if you only just see the truth of suffering, that which is the first one, right? And then you definitely, but depends on how strong. But certainly it's also so that when the person, when they have a system to go like, the 16 steps, right? And then convert into 32 way. If you've been able to meditate in this kind of scale, and how you enter into the Rantin and Siddhi, the summit, or all this sort of thing. And when you go to that kind of almost like climbing the steps, and after that there, and then you have to recheck it. So you are here, you're truth of suffering, and then you were able to check whether this thing will be removed or not. So that's what that's the aim of this. They have to not only just meditate, to be in the truth of suffering according to this system, Sarvastivada, and then you will also see that this thing been removed already. But at least in a normal experience, I just give it a normal, people say, I never have jhana, I don't know, but you can have experience like I can be sitting there, feel nice. That's also similar to jhana, but that doesn't mean you are jhana. Why? Because you don't last long, and the power is not strong, right? Right. The same thing. You actually still, if you know what is the truth of suffering, but you might be, at the moment when you meditate, you do know that's how is it. Because when you really look at the suffering part, you don't have the will of wrong holding the precepts, and you don't have the will on the identity will. You don't. Certainly no. But the problem is that when it's not strong, you don't go to the second truth and the third truth in order to almost like there's a dirt here. You just remove a little thing, but the dirt is so long, right? You need to put more thing to remove, like the truth of the cause. You don't remove the dirt that time, you remove something behind. Say that you have to remove the ignorance a little bit, remove this and a little bit, so that will come off, right? Okay, so why I want to say that, because you might be see the truth of suffering, you started to remove the dirt a little bit. It's almost there, but they're still sticky there. And I should remove this. But when the ignorance don't remove, what are you doing? After you're out of meditation, you say, oh, I don't like this meditation. It's only suffering. What is the use? Let me take care of my body. And they will go to make it beautiful, feel nice, because this body don't feel nice. And still back to the identity view, right? You know what I'm saying? It means even though that moment you are able to remove it when you're not strong, but you don't go to see the truth of original, which is only can remove the truth of the ignorance, and so something like that, then still not come off, okay? That's why you need a persistent. Okay. Because they need a persistent according to Sarvastivada system, the meditation has to be able, when you come to a certain state, you have to able only truth of suffering. That means the suffering, the truth of cause of suffering must be persistent doing that, nothing else. And then keep on checking how you do it, how you enter this truth, and then enter the second truth, and then the third truth, and then the fourth truth, and then the first truth, second truth, third truth, fourth truth, and then now this is gone already, that gone already, and then this truth, that gone, which gone, that gone. That's what they want to do. Okay, this is one of the very unique system. Theravada don't usually mention this way, but that's Sarvastivada system trying to encourage the path system anyway. Yes?
I'm confused that the path as the fourth category is considered a fourth level attainment, because somehow I considered the path was the tool to enable you to be able to see the truth of suffering. somehow following the path is what enabled those first three things to be realized.
You mean the path, the word of this one? What do you mean by the path here?
Well, what does path mean in this?
The path means the Four Noble Truth, the last one. The truth of the path.
The 8,
The Noble Eightfold Path.
right?
Yeah.
Those 8 steps, I thought, is what you had to start to try to do to be able to have these realizations in the first place. I don't see how that's a separate stage.
No. Yeah, I know, but that's why I say, because in Theravada, usually they describe the path in terms of by truing this dependent arising, and with the 3 kind of knowledge, you arises, and then you can see the path. But in the Saravasivada, it's not like this. The Saravasivada, you have to do the dependent arising first, and then you know what are they. But that time, your mind is only focused on the path. Path here means the Noble Eightfold Path. In other words, mean the only time it looks like that. The only time you will know what is meant by the Noble Eightfold, Noble Eightfold Path is only when you see the path.
Okay. I just never considered that. For some reason in my brain, it seems like the path and those other 3 are 2 kinds of different things. The path is the path, and the other are sort of truths to be realized. I don't know. I don't mind what I understand you or not. The path here means refer to truth of the path. In terms of meaning that it's.
In terms of mean, when you see the ceasing of the cause, okay, the third truth, and then you reach the fourth truth. If you don't see the cease of the cause of the problem, the fourth truth can never arise. Does it explain a little bit?
Kind of. I have to think about it.
Maybe the last thing I want to say, the scale is like that. Because we are going to talk there also how the whole path system, how they practice. We just only talk about, they have this, because since we talk the proclivity here, so we just have to know that this is how they list out the proclivity, why they think it's important to be laid out in this way. This is what I want to say. But the other thing I want to say is that according to the school, but I think it's to all school, but say that this school, since I'm talking about this school, according to this school, first you have to be able to see the truth for suffering. And to see the truth for suffering, you are able to see is impermanence, that's why it's suffering. And it is no essence, that's why it's suffering. It is you cannot control it, that's why it's suffering. And then it is suffer, that's why it's suffering. You have to be able to see that. And because only when you're able to see that, you can jump to the second, that you will see the cause. So it is cause because the greedy is a cause. And then also it is an accumulation of the reason why you're like that. And it is also give rise to the problem. So there are four of them. So you have to be able to see that. Only when you're able to see the cause, and then you are able to see how they ceased the cause of the suffering, right? And then you know, oh, this is cease, this is wonderful, this is beautiful, right? Only when you can see this is the cease of the cause of the suffering, then you know this is only the way. There's no any other way. This is the only path, only that will lead you to be that. There's no any other alternate way that will lead you to be this kind of thing. That's what I mean by the path, the cease of the path of the Four Noble Truth.
Only when you've understood the first 3 can you really understand what right view really means. Then. Otherwise, you just can't.
Yeah, according to Buddhism, certainly. The only person really know the right view is only when you become the. There are 2 versions to say. In the strict version, only when you are stream enter. In the less strict version, only when you attend, you see the taste of the Nibbana. You can, yeah. Okay. All right, thank you so much. We'll continue the class next week. I hope I didn't bore you about that. Yeah. All right, thanks for the online friends. See you next week. 回想一下。
愿此上课功德普济于一切，我等与众生皆共成佛道。
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you.
One bottle, teacher.
All right, thank you. Sugar, yeah.